Hi everyone, a very good morning to all of you. Guys, I hope that my voice is clear to everyone as well as my audio is as well as my video is also clear to everyone. So guys, let's get started with the today's video. So today is 28th of February and in today's video we are going to discuss entire analysis of Hindu newspaper. We are going to discuss all articles from Hindu as well as articles from other important sources which are important for our examination. We are also going to see. Now, one thing guys that I would like to tell you here is that I don't know why, but due to some technical issue, 27th February, that is yesterday's stream, is now not showing on YouTube, which we have lived yesterday. So many of you have seen it already, but now I don't know why it is not visible on the YouTube. We'll try to recover it. I think it might got deleted or something. We'll try to recover it. Okay. Now, in the today's session, we are going to cover all these particular article for the mains examination, that is green elections in India, decoding decoding the spending. Okay, this article is with respect to consumption expenditure survey. Then why science needs sustainable funding, 10,000 genome project completed. Fine. Then for prelims, Flue cured tobacco. Germany plan to store CUS. Then stratospheric aerosol intervention and Sudarshan Setu bridge. So all these particular articles we are going to cover in the today's session. Also, guys, we also take current affair based MCQ questions for the practice. You can reach to our Telegram channel, and on Telegram you can attempt these particular current affair based MCQs. Also, in every class we take one quotation for essay as well as answer writing. So guys, let's get started with the today's session. Now, first of all guys, today the quotation that we are going to take is from Mahatma Gandhi ji. So Gandhi ji says that you must be the change you wish to see in the world. Okay, so the change starts within. If you want to reform the external world, first of all you need to bring change internally. So first you need to control your internal temptations, internal desires. When you will be reformed yourself, the outer change will be coming. So this is about the quotation, and now let's get started with the today's article for today's first article, that is the for mains examination. Now we have here this article, stop the dithering and encourage green elections in India. Stop the dithering and encourage green elections in India. Now this particular article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 2 polity, GS paper number 2 polity, election related issues, Okay. Now basically guys, this particular article is talking about the dimension of bringing sustainability in the elections. Fine. Now before going in this particular article guys, let's take some basic background information and then we'll be going in the details of this particular article. So guys, when we talk about any democracy, a democracy rests on free, fair and transparent election. Now, whenever we talk about the elections, we are concerned about this particular dimension. But along with that, there is one more dimension with respect to the elections, that election from the past few years have become a carbon intensive exercise. Elections has become a carbon intensive exercise. Now, when we talk about the elections, a lot of CO2 is a lot of carbon is emitted, a lot of energy expenditure is there with respect to the elections. For example, first of all, there is campaigning. Now, during campaigning, star campaigners, they are traveling to the different location through airplanes. They are traveling through the roads. Okay, so it leads to a lot of carbon emission. After that guys, for the campaigning, a lot of material such as the flex banners are needed, pamphlets, flyers will be distributed. Okay, a lot of time vinyl, plastic made items, cutouts, etc will be made for the election campaigning. Now all these particular things has a carbon cost, has a lot of carbon cost. After that guys, what happens, there is the physical polling that happens. People will go to vote. Now when they are going to vote, it leads to a lot of carbon emission because of the travel that they have to do from one point to another. After that, electricity that is used into the speakers, etc. Then there are public rallies that are conducted, in which hundreds and sometimes thousands of people are turning out. So these public rallies also have its own carbon cost. So in totality, elections today are becoming carbon intensive and they are not sustainable. And in this capacity, Election Commission since 1990s is nudging the political parties that they need to look out the ways that how the elections can be made more sustainable. How elections can be made more sustainable. So this is guys all about the background information, and keeping this particular thing in mind, we are going to approach this particular article. Okay. Now now guys, when we talk about the elections, so this is going to be the topic on the eco-friendly elections in India. Eco-friendly elections in India. Now see this particular thing. When we talk about the, just a minute. Yes. When we talk about elections, so basically in 2016 USA's election, they were highly carbon intensive, and it was estimated by a research that just campaign that was done by one candidate, the flights that he has taken for the campaigning, it is equivalent to carbon footprints of 500 Americans for entire year. Okay, so just the flights taken by one candidate in America in 2016 for the election campaigning, the carbon emission was equal to the 500 Americans for year. So because of these particular thing, the concept of green elections is emerging. Now, what is green election? Green election simply means adopting sustainable practices in all the aspects of election. In campaigning, you will ensure that less and less plastic should be used, ensure that more public rallies should not be there, ensure that even the election candidates who are there, they should use public transportation as much as possible. So from all the on all the aspects there should be sustainability. On all the aspects there should be the sustainability. Now guys, in this particular capacity, we find that green elections are desirable, but what are the challenges that are coming, why they are not adopted? So first of all, there are the technological challenges. Now the point is that without the public rally, how you are going to reach the voters? How you are going to reach the voters? So that is a very big challenge that is there. Then financial challenges. Upfront cost will be very much high to bring the sustainable elections. After that, there are the behavioral hurdle. Just for the show of the strength, political parties, they want to conduct the massive rallies. So all these particular things have to be changed first if elections are to be made sustainable. There is the need of the robust infrastructure, electric infrastructure and digital infrastructure for voting needs to be there. Only then this particular green election, sustainable elections can be incorporated. However, we have some successful case studies. For example, case study from Kerala, Sri Lanka, Estonia, which has conducted the green election. And here, they have done, they have taken initiatives, for example, banning single-use plastics. So often single-use plastic made flags, etc., are distributed before the elections, fine for the election campaigning. Compensating carbon emissions with tree planting. Now, this particular case study is very good one. Here, what actually happened in 2019, Sri Lanka's political parties, that is the SLPP, they launched an initiative to conduct the world's first carbon sensitive election campaign. World's first carbon sensitive election campaign. Now, what actually happened? So basically, the carbon that was emitted from the vehicles, okay, that was noted down. Fine, that was measured. So the political candidates, they are using the vehicles, whatever carbon emission happened from that vehicles, it was measured. Okay, electricity that was used, its carbon emission was measured, and all that was compensated by planting more trees. So this is one way by which the carbon sensitive election was carried in Sri Lanka, and this is a good case study. Other countries should also utilize it. Now, what can be way forward? What can be suggestions in this particular direction? First of all, it has been provided that we need to go for multi-stakeholder approach. We need to bring political parties, Election Commission of India, government, voters, media, civil societies together to transition towards the green elections. First of all, what needs to be done? Let's understand this one by one. Okay. Number one, political parties, they are to be nudged first that they should utilize the carbon sensitive methodologies. For example, no use of minimal use of flights wherever possible, use of public transportation whereas possible, rather than carrying the rallies of thousands and thousands of people. They should design some personalized campaigning method. Door to door campaigning is far more efficient than public rallies. Okay, so political parties are need to be brought on board. For example, SLPP, political party of Sri Lanka, what it did, the political parties in India also need to come out with similar innovative ways. After that, Election Commission of India need, being the regulator of the elections in India, need to come out with some innovative measure. Now what Election Commission of India can do, let's understand. So Election Commission of India should incorporate eco-friendly practices into the model code of conduct. Now guys, when we see, though there are occasional violations of model code of conduct also, but all over we have seen this particular thing, all over it has been seen this particular thing, that uh, model code of conduct has been adhered, has been followed more or less by the political parties. So in model code of conduct, incorporate that election practices should be environmental friendly. Then government needs to ensure this particular thing, guys. So government in the power needs to come out with reforms by the amendment. For example, let's say in Representation of People Act, amendment into the Representation of People Act, that what environmental friendly practices can be incorporated. Then after that, what needs to be done? Digital campaigning methods should be identified. Digital campaigning methods should be identified. How basically digital voting can be done, such kind of platforms should also be created. Okay, then media and civil society are going to play a very important role. Why? Because media and civil society will be the one who will nudge the voters. They are the one who will nudge the voters with respect to the green elections and why they are important for the society, for a nation, and for environment as a whole. So all this needs to be done. So government, civil society, media, all should come together and support the voter education. Fine. Equitable access to digital technology. Now understand this thing. Maybe when we are going for the digital campaigning and all such kind of a thing, big political parties who have a lot of money, they might get benefit. So equity is also to be ensured so that the digital technology is available to everyone, is available to everyone. Okay, and how media can play a role? It can play a role by raising the awareness with respect to the eco-friendly alternatives. So these are all the ways by which green in election, sustainable elections can be, green election, sustainable election can be brought forward. So this is guys all about it, and I hope that you have understood it. And now we'll move to the next article. Okay, so here we have this particular article, that is decoding spending. Decoding spending. Now, this particular article, guys, we are going to see with respect to this particular article, we are going to see with respect to economy GS paper number 3. Economy GS paper number 3. So basically, guys, what happened? There was a consumption expenditure survey 22-23 that was conducted. Consumption expenditure survey 22-23 that was conducted. So let's understand first of all what is this. See, so basically, consumption expenditure survey is the official survey to calculate poverty in the context of India. Now, when we talk about consumption expenditure survey, it is conducted by NSO, National Statistical Office, which is under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Now, last consumption expenditure survey that was done, it was conducted in 2011 and 12. And after gap of nearly 11 years, now again consumption expenditure survey is being conducted. Okay, in between 2017-18 also consumption expenditure survey was conducted, but its report has not been released till now, saying that there were a lot of inaccuracies. So effectively, after the gap of 11 years, now consumption expenditure survey 22-23 has been released. One more thing, guys, I want to tell you that report that has been released till now, it is partial. Report that has been released till now, it is partial, not a complete report. Complete report will be released by July 2024. July 2024. Okay, so let's understand let's understand that what has come out of this particular consumption expenditure survey. Okay, now guys, when we talk about this particular consumption expenditure survey, already I have told you that it has been released by the Ministry of Statistics. Under the Ministry of Statistics, there is NSO which has released it. Okay, now first of all, it says that there is the shift in consumption patterns. There is the shift in consumption patterns. So basically, we find this particular thing that find here we find this particular thing that there is a shift in consumption pattern. Monthly per capita consumer expenditure, it has increased by 33.5% in urban area and 40.4% in rural area compared to 2011-12. Okay, fine. So monthly per capita expenditure has increased. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that monthly per capita expenditure increased 33.5% in, fine, 33.5% in urban and 40.4% in rural area. What it shows? Now, when you will increase your expenditure, question answer is you will increase your expenditure only when you have more disposable income, because without the disposable income you cannot increase your expenditure. So it simply shows that disposable income has increased, and if disposable income has increased, it means that poverty will go down. It is a good economic sign. It is a good economic sign. So this shows that there are the rising incomes. Also, the data says that there is reduced inequality also. There is reduced inequality also, and cumulatively it is leading to the reduced poverty level. Further, the article says that, see, what has happened, expenditures have increased in the past few years. Expenditures have increased, but the growth rate of expenditure, the rate at which the expenditure is growing, it is lower than the rate of inflation and the lower than the GDP growth rates. So means GDP has grown more. In GDP has grown more. Expenditure comparatively has not grown that much. So it means that people are having more money in their hand. Even after spending the money, they might be able to save some money. Again, it is a positive sign of economic, it is a positive economic sign. Then it has been said that there is a changing spending pattern on food. So decrease in monthly expenditure on food, especially cereals. Okay, now what it is, in percentage terms, less and less percentage of money people are spending on food. Now guys, if you remember, I have explained you this particular thing also. For example, suppose, now see this particular thing, suppose I need 100 rupees of food every day. I need 100 rupees food every day. Okay, today I am earning also 100 rupees. So what is happening, 100% of my income, 100% of my income I am spending simply on the food. Okay, suppose tomorrow my salary increases. Okay, I am earning 200 rupees per month, but on food I will still spend similar amount. Maybe it will go 5-10 rupees above, but similar amount I will spend on food. So let's say I am earning now 200 and I am spending 100 rupees on food. So 50% of my salary is going on food. So as a percentage of your income, as in terms of percentage, if your expenditure on food is going down, it means it is a good thing. So now what is happening, there is a decrease in the proportion of monthly expenditure on food, fine, dropping below 50% in rural households and under 40% in urban households. Mean 50% of the income rural households are spending on food, less than 50%, and less than 40% of the household income urban households are spending on the food. If this percentage will even go lower, it means a good thing. It means a good thing. Okay, so this is there. Then guys, also it has been said that, see, these are all the good things, all the good signs that have been given, that has been given by the survey, consumption expenditure survey. But potential biases can be there in this particular survey. Potential biases can be there in this particular survey. Why? Because of the post pandemic period, what has happened, that might not has been given, that might have been interpreted selectively. So what is needed? Number one, first of all, there is a need for the detailed analysis. I told you that the complete report has not been published. It will be published by the July. So first of all, government need to ensure that as soon as possible they should publicize, they should bring a prompt publication of the full finding of the survey, and if possible they should bring it before the election. But I don't think it is going to happen. Second is what needs to be done. It is advised to wait for the next survey result. Okay, one more survey is to be conducted, that is the 23-24 survey should be conducted, and these two surveys findings should be collaborated with each other, and then only the policy action should come. Because now see, after 11 years we are having this particular survey, so we should collaborate it with one more survey which should be done for the latest period. After that, it has been provided that basically on the basis of this particular survey, there is a need of tailor welfare schemes. Okay, such kind of a schemes which are customized for a specific section. Still, we need to identify those particular sections which have not been able to get the benefit. Okay. Also, guys, it has been provided that welfare schemes like Garib Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana might have also helped in this capacity. Understand this particular thing, guys. That what is Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana? Now, under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan, now this Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana scheme for the first time came during 2020 pandemic under Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. Here, 5 kg extra food grains were to be provided to the 80 crore households. Now, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana provides that for the next 5 years, free food grains will be provided. Okay, so that might has helped the households, and their expenditure on food is coming down. Okay, fine. So this is something that is there. Fine. I hope, guys, that you have understood it. And now moving to the next article. Moving to the next article. Why science needs sustainable funding? Why science needs sustainable funding? Now, this particular article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 3, issues related to science and technology. GS paper number 3, issues related to science and technology. Okay, let's get started with this particular article. Okay, there is one question. Sorry, uh, uh, I'm taking it a little bit late. Sir, I don't want to disturb you, but I am 21. Is it too late for me to start for UPSC exam? Dear, just one answer I want to give you. Mr. Shah Faisal. Mr. Shah Faisal. Fine. He started his preparation in the age of 29 years. Mr. Shah Faisal, he started his preparation in the age of 29 years. He was from Jammu and Kashmir, and at that point of a time, maximum age that was allowed was 30 years. Okay. Only one attempt he prepared, only one attempt he prepared, and in that attempt he got one rank. Okay, so you go and search on the Google, you'll find Mr. Shah Faisal rank 1 from J&K, 29 years of age he started, 30 was the maximum age, 1 year, one attempt, one rank. Okay, so only if you are really serious with respect to your goal, only if you are hyper focused, if you are if you are precised in terms of your preparation, then 21 years is too early still. 21 years is too early still. Also, I am a firm believer in this particular thing that yes, exam is an important thing, career is an important thing, but at the same time, you also have one life, YOLO, you only live once. So take some time for that thing also. Don't always live in regret. Okay, we always self sabotage us, okay, by putting all the time of ourselves in the guilt that okay, I have done this wrong, I have done that wrong, I have done this wrong. So just everyone, I'm saying, I'm not addressing this particular aspirant here, I am saying everyone that please come out of this. Fine, give yourself a break. Doesn't matters that what has happened in the past. 21 years is still a young age you are in. Even if now you are preparing, okay, you can well clear this examination, and I don't think that you are going to spend 10 years for this preparation. Okay, fine. Moving on. Sir, is there any need to read newspaper after watching your session? Two things, guys, I will tell you. Number one, reading is always a very good thing. Fine, reading, fine. I'll never say that, okay, don't read the newspaper. However, for content, you need not to worry. Fine, reading is good. It builds your comprehension skills. But for content, you need not to be bothered about. Fine. For that, you can just rely on this. Okay. Now, let's start discussion of this particular article. Okay. Now, sustainable funding for science and technology in India. Sustainable funding for science and technology in India. Let's understand this article. Now, basically, guys, recently what has happened? National Science Day 2024. National Science Day 2024. And the theme for National Science Day 2024 was Science for Sustainable Development. Science for Sustainable Development. So, what is first of all idea of sustainable development? Sustainable development simply means that our developmental pattern should be such that they should not threaten survival of a future generation. They should not threaten survival of future generation. Now, how science can be used for sustainable development? This was the theme for National Science Day 2024. Okay. Now, when we talk about sustainable development, it aligns with India's goal that India has taken, for example, in Paris. For example, in Paris. Now, in Paris Agreement, we have taken the goals that we will try to become more carbon responsible. For example, it has been provided that 500 gigawatt of electricity India will be deriving from renewable energy. Okay, 2.5 to 3 billion ton of carbon storage will be developed. Okay, so basically Paris Agreement, climate agreements, climate goals that we are going taking up, it is also going in line with sustainable development. Science is also to be used for sustainable development. Now, moving on, basically when we talk about the science in India, there are certain issues with respect to the science. Let's understand this thing. Number one is there that there is low R&D expenditure that we are doing on the science. Research and development expenditure is very less. Now, when we talk about R&D expenditure, it is just 0.64% of our GDP. Fine, global average in a developed country, they are spending 2% to 4% of their GDP on science, but we are just spending 0.64% of our GDP on science. Then also, guys, understand this particular thing that there was 2013 Science, Technology and Innovation Policy. Now, this Science, Technology and Innovation Policy of 2013 suggested that we need to increase the R&D expenditure on science, and it is to be increased to 2% of GDP. But how much we are doing today? We are doing only 0.64%. So we have not met the target. And here Niti Aayog specifically mentions that if India becomes to a $5 trillion economy in the short term, we need to spend at least 2.5% of our GDP on R&D. But we are spending just 0.64%, which is very much less, Now also in R&D, one more problem that is there in the context of India is the split of R&D expenditure. Now you see this particular thing. When we talk about, guys, developed countries, majority of R&D expenditure, it is done by the private sector. It is done by the private sector. But when we talk about India, in India, majority of R&D expenditure is done by government. It is done by the government. So private sector engagement has been very much less. This is one very big aspect. Also, guys, there are some systemic problems with respect to R&D in India. First of all, we are spending very much less on R&D. Even R&D grants that are being given, they are not being fully utilized. R&D grants that are being given, they are not being fully utilized. Okay, many number of times, many science bodies, they are given R&D grant, but they don't use it. Now, even what has happened recently, National Research Foundation initiative was brought. Now, what is National Research Foundation? Let's understand. Okay, so National Research Foundation, it is going to be a dedicated body that will mobilize R&D in India. It has been created with a budget of 50,000 crore rupees, for the next 5 years. Now this 50,000 crore rupees will be mobilized by both private as well as public sector. Out of this 50,000 crore rupees, what will be done? 36,000 crore rupees will be brought by private sector and 14,000 crore rupees will be brought by the government. Now here if you see 72%, that is out of 50,000 crore, 3,600 crore are being brought by the private sector. Why? Because in India, private sector's participation in R&D science has been very much less. So this INRF initiative was brought. But up till now, what has happened? It has not been implemented on the ground. So therefore, these are lot problems with respect to the science. Now, guys, understand this particular thing. It has been very clearly pointed out by one of a study not mentioned in this particular article, OECD. So, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development has given a study where it says that there is a direct correlation between the economic well-being of a nation and the expenditure that are they are doing in R&D. So, money that you're spending in R&D is actually not an expenditure, but it is a short recipe for economic upliftment. So, therefore, spending money in science is a prerogative for India. Now, what is the way forward? What is suggestion in this particular capacity? Let's understand this. Number one, we need to focus on increasing the R&D expenditure on science. We need to increase it in medium term to 1%. Right now, just we are spending 0.64%. So in medium term, spend it to 1%, and in the long run, maybe by 2047, increase it to 3%. So 3% of GDP should be spent here. Then next is improve coordination and political will. So government agencies, think government agencies, different bodies. For example, Department of Science and Technology, Department of Biotechnology, Department of Space should come together and should come together and should help to create a R&D spending framework. Okay, and government should be liberal enough to allocate money for R&D spending. The next thing that comes here is that encourage private sector investment. I told you that private sector is spending way less. It is to be done. Now, understand this particular thing, that why private sector will spend. Private sector has to be given encouragement that if they'll spend the money, they will be given IPR protection. If private sector is doing some innovation and coming out with some breakthrough technology, they will be given protection over that. IPR protection will be given. So IPR, regulatory standards, need to be changed. Then enhance capacity of government agencies for the better project evaluation. Fine. Now government is spending money in R&D. Government, now see, resource is not unlimited. Government potential is also very much limited. So government needs to realign that where money they should spend, which will bring the maximum result. Okay, so this is something that is there in R&D that is to be understood. Okay, so guys, that is all about it. And now moving to next article. 10,000 genome project completed. 10,000 genome project completed. Now this particular article, guys, also we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 3, Science and Technology mains examination. Science and Technology mains examination. Now, so basically, guys, what actually has happened? So just recently, Department of Biotechnology, DBT, they have officially announced that the 10,000 genome project they have completed. 10,000 genome project. So what is the 10,000 genome project? So basically, guys, understand this thing. Genome means a complete sequencing of a human DNA. Okay, sequencing a human DNA. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that often what the DNA is all about. So DNA is a blueprint of a human. DNA is a code, fine, which makes up a human. See, I have a particular skin color, I have a particular hair color, fine, I have a particular physiographic structure. Everything is determined by my DNA. However, sometimes, guys, what happens, because of certain mutations that are there in the DNA, because of sometimes there are certain issues that are in the DNA, certain heritable diseases also erupt. Okay, so basically, what is this 10,000 genome project? So this 10,000 genome project is the project to create a database of Indian genomes, to create a database of Indian genomes. Now understand this particular thing, that, guys, that when we talk about India, India has around 1.3 billion population. Within this 1.3 billion population, there are 4,600 population groups that are there. 4,600 population groups that are there. And many of these population groups, they are following endogamy. Endogamy means that they marry within their group. They marry within their group. Now, because of this particular thing, what has happened? There is a particular genetic diversity that is there in India. Okay, so there is particular variations of gene pool that are there in India. There is particular variations of the gene pool that they are in India. So 10,000 genome project will have the database of 10,000 such genomes. 10,000 diverse genomes data set we are going to create. Now, why this is going to help? So by this, what we can do, we can come out with the improved diagnostic methods, better therapies, better medicines, better drugs can be prepared. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that a lot of drugs that are being, now see, India is the generic drug manufacturer. Fine. a lot of innovation of drugs, etc., it is done in the West. And when they are making the drugs, they are testing it largely on the Western population. Now we take this particular technology, we adopt these particular drugs in India. Now, point is that, guys, their reaction, their response on the Indian body, Indian gene sets will be different. Okay, so therefore, what we are going to do now, we are making a repository of 10,000 genomes, okay, from the diverse groups. By that, we will be able to understand the India's genetic structure better, and by that, we will be able to develop better medical applications, better drugs, better therapies. So this is the 10,000 genome project. But however, some scientists say that rather 10,000, it needs to have at least 20,000 genome samples, or some are saying even 40,000 genome samples needs to be there. So that is all, guys, about it. Fine. And now we'll be moving to next article. Okay. So here we have this article for prelims examination. Flue cured tobacco. Flue cured tobacco. Now, first of all, what is curing? Curing is a process of drying anything, or particularly a tobacco. Now, green leaves of the tobacco, they have a lot of moisture, and as they have moisture, they will produce a smoke. So curing is done in the tobacco. Now, basically what is basically what has happened recently, government of India, it has approved an interest free loan of 10,000 crore rupees for assisting the FCV tobacco growers. FCV. Now, what is FCV? FCV stands for the Flue cured Virginia tobacco. Flue cured Virginia tobacco. Now, guys, when we talk about the tobacco, India ranks third globally in tobacco production. Fine. Now, first, the country major producer of tobacco is Brazil, and India is a third producer of the tobacco. Tobacco in India was introduced by the Portuguese. Tobacco in India was introduced by the Portuguese, and right now tobacco is largely cultivated in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Karnataka, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Bihar, Tamil Nadu. Fine. And who is the leading producer of tobacco in India? Andhra Pradesh. Okay. Now, when we talk about tobacco, so there are the four main varieties of tobacco that are grown in India. That is the flue cured Virginia tobacco. Then there is tobacco for BD, cigar filler tobacco, and hookah and chewing tobacco. So these are the four types of tobacco that is done. This FCV tobacco is largely used in the cigarettes. Now, when we talk about tobacco cultivation is possible where there is an annual rainfall of 50 to 100 centimeter. Okay, and during the growth, temperature should be 15 to 20 degrees Celsius, and rainfall more than 100 centimeter is dangerous for the tobacco plant. It largely thrives in the warm climate. Okay, warm climate. Now, when we talk about India's 60% of FCV, that is the flue cured Virginia tobacco, it is exported, and the other is used into the domestic cigarette production. Domestic cigarette production. Now, curing, it is a process of removing the moisture. Removing the moisture. Okay, why? So that it's so that smoke should be less while it is being lightened up. Now, when we talk about Tobacco Board, it is created by the Tobacco Board Act of 1975, which is a statutory body, and it is under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Okay, so why Tobacco Board? Because 10,000 crore rupees loan is being given for the tobacco, FCV tobacco. So that is all about it. With this, we come to an end to this article, and now let's move to the next article. Germany plans to restore CO, carbon capture utilization storage facility. So basically, now, guys, what Germany is doing? Germany is developing carbon capture, carbon utilization, and carbon storage strategy to meet its 2045 net zero climate target. So basically, Germany has taken the goal to become carbon neutral by 2045. India's goal to become carbon neutral is by 2070. Now, what is carbon neutrality? Carbon neutrality is when the carbon emissions that you are emitting and the carbon that you are absorbing, it gets balanced out. So net emission is zero. So we are going to become net zero by 2070. Germany is going to become net zero by 2045. So what they are doing, they are developing a strategy to how to reach it. Now, when we talk about, guys, India right now is the third largest emitter of CO2 in the world. Okay, fine, after the China and the USA. Now, when we talk about, guys, India's carbon emission, okay, India has already taken up the Panch Amrit action targets by which a 50% reduction in CO2 emission by 2050 will be done. Net zero will be achieved by 2070. Reduction of carbon intensity by 45% by 2030. Okay. Apart from that, we have also taken up the INDC, intended nationally determined contribution, that were taken in Paris. Okay. Now let's discuss about the carbon capture, utilization and storage. Now what is carbon capture? First of all, carbon will be captured. Now, how the carbon can be captured? Carbon can be captured by three ways largely. Number one, industrial point source capture. So in industry, for example, in cement plant or any iron and steel industry, when the carbon is being emitted, so there through industrial processes, through sophisticated machinery, you store the carbon. Direct air capture is to remove the CO2 from the air, remove the CO2 from the early in the development. And bioenergy with carbon capture and storage. So basically biomass, from the biomass it captures the CO2. So first of all captures CO2, then use that for some productive purpose, and if usage not possible, then store it. So this is the carbon capture, usage and utilization and storage. Now moving to next article, stratospheric aerosol intervention. Stratospheric aerosol intervention. So basically, guys, what has happened? A recent study is looking, basically, a study is looking in the impact of stratospheric aerosol intervention in mitigating global warming in the West Asia. West Asia. Now, basically, West Asia, it is looking forward for the stratospheric aerosol intervention. Now, whether it is going to be effective on the terms of the long-term climate change or not, okay, that is something that has been looked up in this particular study. Now, understand this particular thing, guys. First of all, what is a stratospheric aerosol intervention? Stratospheric aerosol intervention. So, now, guys, here we have Earth, and till 10 kilometer, approximately 10 kilometer, there is a troposphere. Then guys, between 10 to 30 kilometer, here is the stratosphere. Now stratosphere is that particular layer where the aircrafts also usually fly. Now it is provided that in this particular stratospheric layer, there are certain aerosols that are to be introduced. Now, what are the aerosols? Aerosols are simply tiny particles that are suspended in the air. Fine, that are suspended in the air. And what they can do, basically, they can reflect a lot of incoming solar rays. It can reflect a lot of solar radiation. So basically what is provided, what is the idea? Idea is very simple, that in this stratospheric layer, introduce certain aerosols, and what they will do, they will reflect back the solar radiation. They will reflect back the solar radiation. So therefore, temperature on the earth will reduce. Temperature on the earth will reduce. So basically this stratospheric aerosol intervention, this idea came after 1991 eruption of the Mount Pinatubo. Now when we talk about Mount Pinatubo, it was a it is a volcano in Philippines, stratovolcano in Philippines. So it erupted in 1991, and because of that it led to emission lot of fine particles, lot of ash was emitted, lot of stratosphere, lot of aerosols were released, which reached to the stratosphere. And because of that what happened, the around the world the temperature was lowered by 0.5 degrees Celsius. So this was seen that okay, it is good thing for the climate front, and now why don't we introduce in the stratosphere these aerosols? Why don't we introduce the aerosols? So this study is being done by this particular methodology of reducing the global temperature. It is being explored by many countries, but up till now we don't know that what will be the long term impacts of such thing. So that is all about it. And now moving to the mapping entry for today, Sudarshan Setu Bridge. Now what the Sudarshan Setu Bridge is all about. So basically, Sudarshan Setu is India's longest cable bridge. Cable bridge. So here you can see this is the Sudarshan Setu Bridge. It is a longest cable bridge, which is a 2.32 kilometer, and what it is connecting, it is connected the Bet Dwarka Island to the mainland Okha in Gujarat. Okay. So basically, Bet Dwarka is being connected to the Okha with the help of this particular 2.32 kilometer bridge. 2.32 kilometer bridge. Now, when we talk about the Bet Dwarka, it is the second largest island of the Gujarat coast. Also, on this particular bridge, there are the footpath which have the verses from the Bhagavad Gita and images of the Lord Krishna. Now, when we talk about the Bet Dwarka, it is located at the mouth of Gulf of Kutch. And Bet means a gift. And it is believed that it is a gift to Lord Krishna from his friend Sudama. Okay. Now, when we talk about the Bet Dwarka, here it houses the Shri Keshavraj Ji temple, which is a 500-year-old Lord Krishna temple, which is believed by the Vallabhacharya. Now, when we talk about Dwarka, okay, so it has been seen that in the ancient text also, Dwarka has been mentioned as the ancient port city. In the Greek text also, it has been mentioned. And it has been said that it was the part of the kingdom of Lord Krishna. Now, here let's see the little bit of location. So here we have Run of Kutch in the north. Then here we have the Gulf of Kutch in between. Fine. Then here we have the Saurashtra region, and there we have the Arabian Sea, and here we have Gulf of Kambat. So Gulf of Kutch is here, Gulf of Kambat is here. Okay. Now, further things, guys, that some protected areas with respect to the Gujarat we need to understand. And here you can see that first of all, Marine Gulf of Kutch National Park is there. And it is one of the earliest marine park of India, marine national protected area of the India. Okay. Fine. Now, fine. So here we see Marine Gulf of Kutch National Park is there. Then Khajidia Wildlife Sanctuary is there. Okay. Then Wild Ass Wildlife Sanctuary is here. In the Kutch Desert Wildlife Sanctuary is there. Narayan Sarovar Chinkara Wildlife Sanctuary is there. Okay. Now, these are some of the important ones that you need to be knowing. One simple thing that you can do is that please download the notes from the Telegram channel, and there you can find it. Then some important ports are also here in the Gulf of Kutch, that is the Mundra port and Kandala port. Now, Kandala and Mundra port are one of the busy port in India, along with the JNPT, fine, Jawaharlal Nehru port in the Mumbai, JNPT port. So this is, guys, all about it, and I hope that you have understood it. And with this, we come to an end to the today's session. Guys, one thing is that yesterday's stream is now not visible on the channel. Don't know why. Okay, now it is fine. Okay, now it is reflecting on the channel. Okay, guys. So now it is reflecting on the channel. Okay, guys, thank you so much. So with this, we come to an end to the today's session. Now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves. And guys, if you have liked the video, please do hit the like button. Please do share it with your friends. Thank you so much.